Hello, thanks for joining me on this episode of Simply Saturday. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today we're going to be making a card and we're going to be starting with a pre-purchased note card. Now these note cards come in a package with envelopes, and this is a wonderful way to get started, especially if you're new to card making. Because you don't need to start with large pieces of cardstock and trim them down to size. These already are cut and pre-scored, so all you have to do is fold them and create your card. And of course it can go in this direction or in this direction, and they come with envelopes that are sized appropriately. So we're starting with this. We're also going to kind of review back just a couple weeks ago. You saw a pink card where we put some designer series paper strips on and then we cut a circle out. Well, I cannot get the idea of that layout out of my head, and so I've been using it quite a bit, and today we're going to do something slightly different but along the same lines. So you're going to need, besides that note card and envelope, you're going to need a piece of white cardstock. This piece measures 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. Then you're going to need 3 pieces of designer series paper that coordinate. And so those first 3 pieces measure 1 inch by 4 inches. And then you need 2 more pieces that still coordinate, but these 2 are 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches. All right, and I have to say I'm so excited. I realized something just this morning. These papers, in fact, I used some of this a week ago on the little pocket card. I had said that the paper was retired. And it just came to my attention this morning that this paper is not retired. It is in the clearance rack, so it's marked down. It's called Dandy Designs. It's a very large packet of 12 by 12 inch paper, and it's still available at the time of this recording. So make sure that you add that to your order. All right, we're going to glue our papers on. This is what I pulled out from my packet when I was deciding which ones to use. And then these are the 5 I selected. And when you lay out your strips, you're going to kind of want, I don't know if it's your favorite or the most prominent one, you're going to want to save that one for the middle. And you're going to want your other 2 strips that are 1 inch wide to be at the top and the bottom. And then we're going to put the 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch wide in between, like so. All right, and we're going to start gluing those on. I'm going to begin with the bottom one today because these are sized so that this entire piece of white cardstock is going to get covered and it's going to fill it up. So instead of starting in the middle like I would sometimes, I'm going to start at the very bottom and line up my designer series paper with the bottom edge of that cardstock. I'm even turning it over to make sure that it's completely lined up very, very well. All right, then I'm going to leave a little white space between each strip. This is one of my 3/4 inch wide pieces, and I'm going to leave a little space. Now what I'm going to do is not quite push that down all the way. I'm trying to leave myself a little bit of time in case I need to move my papers around. I set that one down. We'll see how this works because it does, I mean, you do have a moment before it dries, but it does start to dry pretty fast. So I could have taken more time to line it up in a dry fit, but I just kind of jumped right into gluing, leaving that white space in between. And how'd we do? We did just fine. I could actually move this one down a teeny bit. And this one. Okay. And then our final one goes at the top, ideally flush with this edge, but if it's hanging off a teeny bit, that's fine. It's not going to matter. Actually, I'm going to just turn this around and go that direction. I like how those little rounded squares look right there. Okay, so there we have our little layout, all right? Again, as you recall, we took a piece similar to this and then we die cut a circle out of it. This time I'm going to use this die. Now this is a retired die. This was from Color and Contour. But if you have the dies that go with perennial postage, those dies would work as well, and those are current. Otherwise, if you have your Color and Contour stamp set and or dies, that's where I pulled this from. So this is going to go right on here, and I'm going to die cut that, and we're going to complete our card. So let me go cut that out. Okay, now I ran that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and because I had cardstock with the designer series paper on top, it's a little thick, so I did run it through the machine and back through a second time just to make sure that this got cut out. And so let me pull this out and throw away the edges. Okay, so you end up with this. And this is the piece. Now it looks super fancy. All it was strips of paper glued onto a piece of cardstock. But this is what's going to go on the front of our card. I'm going to just use my multi-purpose liquid glue to attach this down. It's funny how it doesn't really matter which way it goes, but I feel like it needs to go this way. And I'm just eyeballing my borders all the way around to get it nicely centered, and press that down. Now we just need a word stamp. So let's find a sentiment that we want to use. I chose this stamp out of Latte Love, and I'm going to use Fresh Freesia ink, which is one of the colors in the designer series paper, and I've just got a scrap of white cardstock. So let me get my words stamped onto here. For the purpose of Simply Saturday and keeping it super easy, I'm just going to cut this out with scissors. So the one thing I'm going to do is just shorten it a little bit on each end. Like so. I could have started with a smaller piece, but I just started with a scrap that was handy. And then let me get my paper snips out for this. And then as you've seen me do tens of times, I'm just going to make a snip to the center and now go from the corner to that snip, and from the corner to the snip, and it gives us that really nice banner end or flag. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So make a snip at the center and go from corner to the snip and corner to the snip. I like to turn my paper over because then my scissors are always going the same way. I'm not having to cut the other way. There we have it. Let's take some dimensionals. I think 3 would be appropriate for a shape this size. And we're going to just find a nice little spot on the front where it looks good. And I'm liking this bottom corner right here. And then just sitting here on my desktop, I do have these pastel adhesive backed sequins. And I think that this kind of white pinky color is perfect. So I'm going to pull 3 of these to add to the front of the card. Now I do have a second design to show you. So I'm going to bring that up just with a tiny little variation, and we can talk about that as well. I think I kind of like it, 2 of them on the tag and 1 over here. All right, there's our cute little sequins. And then on the next card that I'll show you with the other colors, I'll show you how I decorated the envelope, okay? But there you have it, starting with a note card and envelope. All right, couple strips of paper, some kind of a large fancy die, and then just a sentiment on top, and there you have it. All right, let me show you the other one. This time I chose papers from the same paper pack, Dandy Designs, and I used this color scheme. In this instance, instead of fussy cutting that little banner corners on there, I did use a die. This is a retired set of dies, but this is from Tasteful Labels, in case you have that in your collection. And I pulled that die out to cut my sentiment in this case. And then I took my envelope. I literally had scraps, you know, like I had for this card. I had these scraps sitting on the desk, and there was a little square, and so I simply attached the square to the envelope. Now, this is not genius. It is not brilliant, but for some reason, I always put a strip on my envelope going this way, or I cover the flap with designer series paper. And today, I just felt like the square looked really good. In fact, in my mind, I was thinking, if you care, add a square. So there's our square of designer series paper on the envelope, and I just think that it's cute and it ties it together with the card. And there you have it. I'll do the same thing. I will add a square here because I do care to decorate that envelope. And that is our Simply Saturday card for today. I really appreciate you watching, and I'm going to put some information for you below this video in that description box. All you need to do is click so that it opens, and you'll find all kinds of helpful information there. I am still treating my customers to some free cards in the mail from me with any size order, so be sure that you look up those details in the description box as well. And until next time, happy stamping!